Shall we begin?
Why not? Welcome to Frankie Sense and More. It's like she's got a whole lot of goodness for you with a little bit of sass.
Frankie, did you just say...
She sure did. Not to mention, along with...
Whoops.
Join us now as Frankie Picasso and her new co-host mix it up with authors, musicians, and interviews with world-changing people.
Let's begin now.
Okay, let's begin now, because it only makes sense.
And hello there, and welcome to Frankie Sense and More. I am your host, Frankie Picasso, and today do we ever have a wonderful show for you. But first, I have an announcement. If you're a loyal listener to Frankie Sense, then you will remember a friend of mine, the Capuchin monkey named Pockets Warhol. He's an artist. Yeah, like me. Well, the Wizard of Oz Halloween Charity Event 2017, October 21st, this year's third annual Wizard of Oz inspired Halloween charity benefit is going to benefit Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary, which is where Pockets and Darwin, the infamous Mackay, who was found roaming around IKEA parking lot dressed in clothes and creating havoc. Well, Storybook Farm provides a permanent home for its 19 primate residents who are retiring from biomedical research, zoos, universities, pet stores, and private homes. So it's a really important event. It is going to be the very first vegan social event held by Love Wild, Love Free. Flying monkeys are going to be around the room. There's going to be a balloon raffle, Candy Warhol, Bangs and Blush, and live performances featuring none other than Alexandria Beck of Universe of Ali. And Alexandria, she's an amazing woman. She's going to be coming on the show in about 2 weeks. She's an opera singer and a just absolutely gorgeous young lady. She has sung in front of royalty, heads of state. She opened the first Vancouver Olympic venue, and she sings in Harrods department store. It's so cool. Just as the shoppers go by, she's sitting there singing arias. So if you're interested, go to info@lovewildlovefree.com for your tickets for the Wizard of Oz. And the benefit, again, is Storybook Farm Primate Sanctuary. Well, today's guests are amazing, of course. We have Kim Oneill and Craig Dubecki. Now, they're both authors, and today we will speak to them both about their new book releases. I love how the universe works in its synchronicity, because Kim is from California and Craig is from Canada, and yet both have written about an experience where a bad breakup rendered them, let's say, in bad shape. Today, both are thriving, and we are going to hear all about it in just a moment. Now, Kim Oneill is a former crime analyst. Already, she's intriguing, right? Who is also a speaker, trainer, youth mentor, author, empowerment coach, and internet radio host who is certified with both the ICF as a law of attraction coach. She's also a Reiki Master Practitioner, infinite possibility trainer, and her radio show Every Day is a New Day can be found on BBS. Now, Kim, she commonly works with youth and job seekers and adults who struggle to understand the value of who they innately are. And while Kim, the coach, is also, she's human, right? So she's naturally optimistic and positive, but it was through multiple breakdowns in her own life that led her to rediscover and reclaim who she innately is. So overcoming negative self-talk, learning to hear and trust her own intuition, and embracing the fact that it's her inner world that creates her outer world are some of the elements that led Kim to rebuild the foundation of her life from the inside out, and it's what makes her such a terrific coach. Now, in 2017, she authored the first edition of Positive-Minded People, Inspiring Stories of Overcoming Adversity for Living a More Positive Life. Let's welcome Kim. Hello, Kim. Welcome.
Hi, Frankie. Thank you so much for having me on the show today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm just going to say it out to Craig that if you have any questions, Craig, feel free to also chime in and speak to Kim during the show whenever you want.
You got it.
And vice versa.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Kim. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same with you.
I definitely want to talk about, your new book, Positive Minded People. It's also an anthology, but I want you to tell us about being a crime analyst first, because I think that it might be really instrumental in how you coach and maybe what you write about.
You know what? First, let me just say thank you so much for acknowledging today that, yes, me and Craig are thriving. And and it's so interesting, the journeys that life can take us on. So yes, I never initially set out to be a crime analyst, but it was interesting how life led me there, and it really spoke to a lot of my natural curiosities and problem solving and research abilities and skills. So I had worked with the police department prior to this job, and then this job came open. So it was kind of like, I had been there before, and I had not had an opportunity to go back. And I never expected the personal journey it led me on, though. So it's interesting that you're asking me about this, because it absolutely does speak to the clients that I tend to attract and am able to support. So in a nutshell, working as a crime analyst, I mean, you're me. I was constantly ingesting a lot of negative information, a lot of crime reports. I mean, that was really the heart of what I did, is reading crime reports left and right, every day. And then there was this whole, researching information and doing maps. I love maps. I've always loved maps. But really at the heart of it, though, was just absorbing this negative energy and trying to, dig deeper within all of it. So I was constantly immersed in crime and the people. I mean, I think the thing that stood out most for me was it's not so. I mean, crime happens every day, and I really got to see how that's so the truth.
Sure.
But what really struck me was when I would see crimes that were committed by youth. Mm-hmm. And there were a few in particular reports that I read that really, I literally had to stop because I just wanted to cry, because it makes me think, how did this kid, get to this place where they think that this is okay, and that to them this is already a way of life, because a lot of these kids were repeat offenders. And
sure.
And anyway, so that journey combined with, I was also already a youth mentor at that time. It really got me to this place where I had to dig deeper within myself. I was still in the midst of being on my own coaching journey of, learning about coaching and all this stuff when I first started that job. And so going deeper within myself, learning about my own emotions, and then being faced every day with all this negative energy, it did allow me to find a space within myself where I could maintain a level, a level head, but also center and balance within myself in the midst of this negative energy around me.
How did you shake it off, Kim? How did you shake off all that negative energy? It attaches to you and it comes home with you. So how did you shake that off?
You know what? So I got in the habit of taking breaks. I got in the habit of grounding myself. I had to use those spiritual tools, the things that I've been learning and practicing over the years. I really had to use those more. So meditation, shaking it off. I had to remind myself that, I've been through things that other people probably wouldn't want from me either. And we all go through things, and there's something to learn from it. So I had to remind myself that, okay, these kids, I still hold hope for them, and I don't believe this is the end for them, and they will learn from it. So I kind of had to just sort of take this higher perspective, you could say, and just go, okay, this is going to be part of their story, and I would just, I would send them love through the computer sometimes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you about your book. Now, have either of you seen a show started last year? It's back on its second season, called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Have any of you seen that show?
Oh, I've seen a little bit of it.
It is hilarious. Anyway, it's about a girl, she's a lawyer from New York, who, when she was 15 years old, fell in love with this boy at summer camp and she sees him on the streets of New York after 15, 20 years. And she decides, she's like, oh my God, there he is. And she becomes a stalker and moves to California and tries to get him back. Well, she kind of reminded me a little bit about you, Kim, from your chapter. If I could just read a little piece of it.
Yeah.
You wrote, You know them, those people that get so attached and obsessed in a relationship that they basically go crazy. They call every 5 seconds, even though the other person didn't pick up the first 10 times. They call in the middle of the night while you're at work, lunch breaks, weekends, don't stop until you answer. They cry incessantly and make claims of feeling on the brink of suicide. They do not respond well to a breakup, and they turn into someone you've never even seen before. And you didn't know you were that person. How the heck did this happen? Help! Get me out of here. Make this person stop, except this person is you. So how do you make yourself stop?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
That's great. I'm sorry. I mean, it's painful at the time, but very funny now.
Oh, well, thank you. And yes, I can laugh at it now. What was the question exactly?
The question really is, someone who is as smart as you with all the tools that you have, how did you go to the crazy space?
It's because I didn't have a stable foundation within me as a person to begin with. And I later, further on in the chapter, I talk about, that situation led me to just a complete breakdown within myself, which was an opportunity for me to create a stronger foundation, a deeper relationship with myself. And that came through, wiping the slate clean and feeling like I'm completely empty and I don't know where else to go. And anyway, that's kind of the, so that led me
I think Craig can identify with that one.
Absolutely.
I look forward to hearing Craig's story, too. I don't want to be alone.
Oh, you're going to hear his story. Don't worry.
No, you're not alone.
Thank you, Craig.
No, we're not alone. How many minutes to our break there, Ben? I think I got a note there for a couple minutes. I'm not sure where we're at right now, but it goes so fast sometimes. Because I don't want to start on a new thing before we go to an old thing, but, okay.
Can I ask one more thing, Frankie?
Pardon?
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I just want to say that it was years of patching up old hurt and anger that allowed me to, that created the space where I didn't have a strong foundation already. So when all of that just kind of came erupting, then it was like, okay, we have nowhere else to go and we can start clean. So
I want to go to this commercial break with this another quote from your book. Your chapter. Somewhere amongst the definitions of codependency, dismissive attachment theory, and anxious ambivalent attachment theory is where the relationship insecurity I developed can be understood. That is a mouthful. Wow. That is a mouthful.
I want to get that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Been there, done that. How's that? Other t-shirt.
Oh, man.
We're going to go to a commercial break. My guest today is Kim Oneill, Craig Dubecki. I'm your host, Frankie Picasso. You are listening to Frankie Sense and More. Please don't go anywhere because we'll be right back, and we got lots more for you.
Heck no, we're just getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
A few years ago, some fishermen off the coast of Italy discovered some pottery along with fish in their nets. Divers were called out and discovered an ancient Roman ship whose galley, or caboose, a nautical term for kitchen, was extremely intact. Some of the food uncovered on board was pickled fish, wine, oil, and grain used to make the ship's biscuits, otherwise known as dandy funks. It is thought the 2,000-year-old boat was probably on its way to Spain when it sunk and was covered by layers of mud, baggy wrinkles and all. Baggy wrinkles are another name for the ship's ropes. The mud protected the ship from wear, explaining why the leftover food on board was still in such good condition. We land lubbers may not be familiar with leftovers on the sea, but we are familiar with leftovers in our kitchen.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
One simple strategy for healthy, low-calorie eating is to pack your lunch instead of eating out. When you plan your lunch, you can control what you are eating and how much. Going to a restaurant can be disastrous for someone trying to lose weight or maintaining their present weight. Even choices like Caesar salad can be as much as 600 calories, and some Asian dishes like sweet and sour chicken can be well over 500 calories. You can put together a lunch that is satisfying for less than 300 calories. Harvard Medical School states that packing your lunch makes healthy food choices readily available, helps you curb portion sizes, and saves you money. You can pack leftovers from the night before and add fresh veggies and fruit. Keep it healthy and delicious. I'm Annette Hammond. To hear other fitness and weight loss tips, visit our website at AnnetteHammond.com.
And we're back at Frankie Sense and More. And I'm going to introduce you to my other guest, Craig Dubecki. He is a representative of the Heart and Stroke Foundation, of Waterloo Region Suicide Prevention Council, the Grand River Hospital, Legacy through Exonify in Waterloo, Ontario. And he's a performing musician, Toastmaster, public speaker, and he's connected to the Public Speakers Association out of Texas. And he is a published best-selling author of So You Just Want to Be a Rock Star, and also the best-selling anthology Dreaming Big, Dreaming Bold, Volume 3, with a second anthology, Sharing, due out in December 2017. Wow. Now, Craig has created and is the owner of the Willy Wig Principle. I got it, Craig. Willy Wig is where you go, a principle that helps people find their own personal power and way through life. He lives in Kitchener, Ontario, as opposed to Kim, who lives in California.
There's an Ontario in California.
Yeah, there is. And he's a very proud father of Blair, Maria, and Andrea, and his best friend Bing went over the Rainbow Bridge, but he is remembered and featured on the cover of your book, So You Want to Be a Rock Star. Yeah.
That's right. Yay.
So, Craig,
He's immortal.
Kim, this book is 564 pages.
Oh, my
And when Craig first handed me the book, he said, here you go. Here's a paperweight for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the book is,
it'll keep a number of papers down in a almost hurricane wind.
Yeah, it will. But you know what? It's unique. It's intriguing. It's an incredibly built book. You've really done an amazing job and a very unique job of writing. Now, you utilize music as a score for your life, which is very cool. And you employed the gods in the universe as the overview for each situation, kind of like a coaching moment of every chapter that we encounter. And I think you used 5 different fonts to differentiate from your warnings and dreams and storytelling and life and coaching and all of that.
Reflection, exactly.
And so tell us, where did this concept come from? It was very cool.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here and to being on here with you too, Kim. It's a true pleasure. Everybody goes through, use the word things. I'll say everybody goes through their own shit in life. Yep. And, it's all relative. And, you can always say that, well, it could always be worse. People have gone through worse, but it becomes very personal when you're going through it. And
correct.
I'd gone through so much crap in my life, and I would describe, some of the stories to friends and just even strangers, and repeatedly they said, "God, that sounds like a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should be a movie." And then I got to thinking, when I was like probably at my darkest, which would have been just after the divorce, 2001, I came very, very close to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And then start rebuilding my life, and shit continues to happen. I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to be a musician. I've always wanted to be a public speaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I started to do that, and I started writing this book. And I thought, we all want to be rock stars when we're coming out of school. It has nothing to be about. It has nothing literally to be
a rock star.
A rock star.
But
even though I am a musician, and even though I portray that a little bit on the cover, it's we want to rock in our own world.
Yeah.
And it's the roller coaster. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take people on an adventure, because my life has been an adventure. Now, it's not just me. This is fiction, nonfiction. It has some of me. It has some of other people, other stories that I've heard.
Oh.
And
so did you feel purged after writing it? Did you feel...
Well, yeah, actually, that was an interesting process, because it wasn't meant as a healing thing. I wanted to help people. I thought, God, there's other people that feel like me. There's other people that feel worse. There's people that take their lives. They've got to be feeling all alone. Mm-hmm. I understand the psychology here, so I'm going to let them know that they're not alone. So I started with the idea of helping people, and then, I get to certain places, and I started laughing as I told the story, especially if it was about me, and it became a bit of a purge there, a bit of a cleanse. Yeah. And by the time I was finished with it, I felt great. I've shared a number of things here, but I know that I've touched on so many other things that I think a lot of people will relate to. And music is universal.
Sure.
I wanted to make it musical, so that's where, you've got 70 chapters. Each chapter is titled after the name of a song. You have part of the song strategically placed within the chapter to embellish what is happening in that chapter as you follow the main character, Shane. And then, as you noted, the collective, there's a bit of a narration. It's a combination of Greek mythology here. It's Aeolus, who's the god of wind in Greek mythology. That's where music starts from, is wind going through landforms and making the hums and the noises. Mm-hmm. That's actually called the Aeolian vibration. So you have Aeolus, Apollo, the Muses all combining there to kind of be a
viewer of your life.
What's the word?
Foreshadowing too.
Foreshadowing, exactly.
Yes, yeah, they did that. That was very cool. I like that a lot. So just to give readers an idea, you were, Shane in the book was married, 17 years to a woman who had cheated almost all of them, unbeknownst to her husband.
Yes.
Is that true? Yeah. And in a very disturbing way.
Yes.
And like Kim, like you mentioned, that you got to a place of suicide. Like it got that bad that everything just combined, just really made you. You were worried for your children, and you were worried about so many things. And of course, you were kind of a victim of abuse too, because she kept calling you stupid and dumb, and I don't know how much of that was true, but she kept,
well, definitely mental and emotional abuse.
Yeah.
It's looked at as highly as anything else in the courts.
I'm just curious. I have a question now for Kim, because it just came to me. Is there a song that went with your relationship?
Oh,
like maybe or not, you think of that guy right away.
You know what? Maybe that song, I don't remember the title, but one of the nicknames that he, the guy in my story and I, one of the nicknames we had for each other was Boo. So when that song came out about You're My Boo or whatever, that song, I haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah. Music is so strong, and it takes you back right away to your relationship, right? Or time and place, and think, oh yeah, that's it right there. It's very interesting. So I mean, I don't know how much of your book is like you just said, some of it's true, some of it's not true, some of it's taking a compilation of other people's stories put in there. But this main character, Shane, really, it's almost like Pilgrim's Progress in a way. Like he went on this journey,
You're exactly right. I've had people come up to me and mention that book.
Really?
And I've never read it. I've not. It's a classic. I know very little about it. Other than that, I haven't read it. But yeah, there's been a lot of comparisons.
Well, it's not about a guy who's going to be a professional baseball player and doesn't make it, but
right.
But
that was true.
Yeah. Okay, that's very cool. So you almost got drafted by the Blue Jays. That's very cool.
I tried out for the Blue Jays. That was my goal. I wanted to be professional baseball, and I was one of the most feared pitchers.
Wow. I think we just lost Craig there for a moment. Kim, are you still with us? Oh, there you are. You're back.
I'm still here.
Okay. And did I think I know the answer for you, Craig, but did either of you indulge in any mood-altering drugs, alcohol during the time that you were stressed?
I'll I'll answer that first. Not really, because I didn't want to do anything, ingest anything. I just was like this miserable shell of a person at the time. I stopped eating.
Oh, you stopped eating?
No, I didn't really eat either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I lost a bunch of weight. But I will say that it was so hard for me to sleep that I started looking at, well, what can help me sleep? So I started considering taking no-dose, or no, not no-dose. There's some other pills that can help, sleeping pills. Sure. And then I looked at melatonin and things of that sort, but nothing, illegal or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But people typically, I'm an emotional eater. I'm a stress eater. And my mother was like you, Kim. She stopped eating when she was stressed. Craig?
Yeah, emotional eating, especially at nighttime. And yeah, I went into alcohol pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. There were some tough times there. I've never touched any drugs. Never in my life. But the alcohol and the eating have been a struggle, and even the snacking. I'm on my own, so I gotta make sure I have healthy snacks all prepared. We get kind of in our own paradigm there, and we try and break out of it, but it's an ongoing challenge. Even though I'm rocking in my world with what I'm doing, that doesn't mean everything's perfect. I still have to be cognizant of things and work on things. Yeah.
Now, did you find, looking back now, if you were talking to somebody who came to you, gee, Craig, I'm going through all the same stuff as you, did the alcohol help you? Did the heavy drinking help you?
Well, the alcohol was an escape. It was like I just got tired of thinking of things so much because my conscious mind, my subconscious mind are wide open, and I can't compartmentalize things. Mm-hmm. So it wears me down. It depressed me. I was in clinical depression. But before that, I would just go to alcohol just to, the cliche saying, numb the pain.
Right.
And just escape from my own feelings, from my own thoughts that I had a hard time controlling.
I was just wondering if it did help. Do you think it helped, or a longer process, or
maybe it helped in that moment?
Right.
The next day, it didn't help, and in the long run, like 3 years ago, I had quadruple bypass. Both
I have
lungs
to stop you there because we're going to go to, we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about the effects of that. We're going to go to a commercial break in just a moment. And Kim, feel free to, jump in and ask anything of Craig that you want to ask as a coach or just another human being. We are going to a commercial break. You're listening to Frankie Sense and More. Kim Oneill, Craig Dubecki is my guest today, and you are our listeners. Thanks for doing that.
Getting warmed up. Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
Did Scotch tape originate in Scotland? Nope. The popular gift wrapping tape was actually developed right here in the United States. In 1926, the Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing Company, 3M, was being a bit rapacious, trying to save a little scratch or money, and started using a cheaper adhesive on their sticky tape. A Detroit automaker ordered some of this newer, cheaper tape to use for spray painting auto bodies. But the automaker complained because the tape was Scotch, a politically incorrect word that meant cheap or stingy. While the tape didn't have the adhesion to satisfy the automaker, it was hardly a Gifu jet. That's an unnecessary thing. It had many other uses, as we all know. So the tape was kept in production, and the name Scotch just stuck.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's words you never heard.
One of my favorite books is called Forgotten English by author Jeffrey Kaser, who looks at the origins and histories of the language. For example, take the term Fritterbohnen. That's an old English expression, probably borrowed from German, that means fleeting weeks and refers to what we call a honeymoon. A fribbler is a guy who doesn't ever make it to the honeymoon. The word fribbler comes from the 18th century and refers to a man who is in love with a woman but just won't commit to marriage. Chaucer coined the term pigasnia, which comes from the phrase pig's eye to mean sweetheart. Hey guys, why don't you try that one on your girlfriend and see how it goes?
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
And we are back. And just before we left for a commercial break, Craig, you were, you kind of jumped through something very serious, like flippantly, but you had a triple heart bypass. Quadruple bypass, and because your lung collapsed, did you say?
No, I had June of 2014. I had quadruple bypass, and because I had angina, I didn't have a heart attack, but three of my prime arteries were almost totally blocked.
Holy moly!
Wow.
And a fourth one was about 70% blocked. And so they open heart, they did the artery stuff, and then they put me back, and I'm in recovery. And about an hour later, the alarms went off, and they had to set a speed record for doing 6 X-rays to determine both my lungs had collapsed.
Oh my goodness!
That can be fatal.
It's hard not to breathe.
Yeah, like they had.
I don't mean to laugh. Yeah.
I can laugh at it now. Yes, but stick a tube into my chest.
Sure.
So I went through that.
That's huge, major, life-altering.
Yeah. So when you talk about the alcohol, the escaping.
Yeah.
Like we are a human machine, and I speak on the human machine, and just like any machine, depending on the fuel that you put into it, your machine is going to operate a certain way over length of time. So just like the body, if I keep putting in, high levels of alcohol, then it has to, scientifically, it will take a toll. Things will weaken, things will break down, and fortunately, they can fix a lot of it, but we only have one machine. They can't replace the body, so what we have to.
Was this in your family?
A lot of people do it. No, it's not hereditary.
Not at all.
My father died of a massive heart attack, but at 89. So
sure.
When they ask you, is there any history? That's if it's before the age of 55.
Sure. Yeah.
So
how are you feeling?
It was stress and lifestyle. Those are the two things that I can control, and I didn't do a good job of it. And I really go into that in my book. There's a lot of there are stories of Shane just getting wasted on his own in that book and hardly being able to climb up the stairs. That I've been there.
Yeah. And he's very stressed out. I mean, you could tell he's very, very stressed out. I thought he was going to have a heart attack in the book, to tell you the truth. But so what do you do now to relieve your stress?
That's Willywig.
Willywig.
And you said that so well. So
thank you.
I learned, I have that, I believe in it so much that I have it trademarked. Where you look is where you go. And Kim, you kind of talked a little bit with Frankie about this. If you look at the fear, if you look at the problems, you become the fear. You become the problems because that is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like...
How do you spell that?
Where you look,
W-Y-L-I-W-Y-G.
Okay.
And it's just like driving a car. Like it's
a motorcycle. I learned that on a motorcycle.
It comes from driving vehicles. If you want to get around that parked car, if you look at the parked car as you try to get around it, you can probably hit it.
Absolutely.
So you can't ignore it. You have to acknowledge it. So Kim, just like you went through a process of understanding things and kind of purging things. We have our crap in life that if we ignore, they will build up and they will fester. And they will explode. That subconscious mind just explodes, and then we're in trouble. So we acknowledge it, we process it, and We look where we want to go, but we glance at the problem. Look where you want to go, glance at the problem. I had to learn how to do that, and now that's what I want to help other people do and corporations, because everybody says, oh, you got to focus more. You got to try and focus better, but nobody explains what focus is. And I'm trying to do the missing link here with WYSIWYG.
Nice.
You can go and read all the self-help books you want. You can take all the courses you want, but if you don't know how to focus, clear your mind and truly focus, then you're not going to absorb and process as much as you want to what you're trying to learn.
So I want to know, though, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. I feel very strong. I feel like I'm in control of my life, even though it's very busy. I finally have things that I can turn to that make me smile, that, the stress is always going to be there.
Sure.
But now I have things that, okay, I can go to. I can play guitar. I can get up on stage and jam with somebody. I can put myself out there for public speaking. I've got one coming up next week where I'm a keynote speaker. Nice. So I've got a lot of really positive things to focus on. Before my surgery, especially before my suicide thoughts, I didn't have anything for me really. I'd become just swamped with the sadness, the failure, thinking everything was a failure, and that had become me.
So Kim, you're in your Positive-Minded People, Inspiring Stories of Overcoming Adversity for Living a More Positive Life. That sounds like a book that, a person where Craig had been would be very happy to read.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. You had an issue with your dad. He wasn't around very much, right, Kim, when you were growing up? And perhaps that was part of your problem with the obsession with this boy?
It was. I mean, there were some things that Craig said that resonate with my story when he was talking about, I don't remember your exact words, Craig, but you were talking about, filling yourself up with the alcohol or a different substance. And for me, in my story, it was that I didn't realize I had been doing this, but I essentially was wanting someone else to fill me up because I had this void from my dad not being there. And I didn't realize for a lot of years that I had a void. I thought that, how can you miss something if you've never really had it? I'm strong, I'm not as affected by this. And until, this friendship, it was like an off and on romantic friendship relationship that really what led me to just completely crumbling. Until when that crumbled, that's when I realized, oh, okay, this goes even beyond this situation. This goes all the way back to my dad. And I just finally had to accept that, yes, I was affected by that. And, and that healing didn't happen immediately. It certainly happened over several years. But it's, I can't even say that I regret that it happened. I don't wish an experience like that on anybody ever. Right. And I would never want to go through it again, knock on wood. But I have to say, I'm glad that I went through it, because it really did bring me to a place where I can start to see life differently, and I can accept more of who I am, which I think is an ongoing journey. So it's, I don't think it's anything you ever just completely master. But yeah, so definitely my dad was a part of the story for me.
Well, sitting back, I can see where this young man, you were best friends. And then you kind of went to the lover territory. Then you went back to being best friends, and you went to the lover territory. And then he found somebody. He fell in love. Yeah. And so that's almost feeling like an abandonment of your friendship. Yeah. Even like your father felt like an abandonment. Subconsciously, right? Of course, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. When Yeah, when my friend met someone else and then wasn't really as available for me anymore, because we talked daily. I mean, we were like so close that it was so noticeable when he met someone that, oh wow, like he really met someone. He wasn't, there for me as often as he used to be, and vice versa. I was always there for him too. So yeah, it did feel like an abandonment even in that moment. I was very aware of that. It was all this stuff about my dad that I had to take a deeper look at as time went on, because I had denied some of that. I didn't want to claim that as part of my story. I don't want to be seen as an adult woman with daddy issues. That to me is like, what? But I had to go, no, Cam, look, it's okay. It's part of my story. I have healed immensely from it.
Well, you reconnected with your father, right? You reconnected with him just for a little bit before, and then he passed on. But that was really, how was that for you?
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's a whole other thing. It was such a short-lived period. It was kind of a period of 2 weeks and 2 months, and he died so unexpectedly. He literally died the day after he finally told me that he was sorry for never having been there. Yeah, it was huge.
So you got closure. Thank God you got closure.
You know what? I will say this. I did get a little bit of closure from him in just that one statement, but I would say the additional closure and healing came from my desire to not let that be the end, because here I had lived a whole lifetime of not really feeling like I had a relationship with my dad, and now I was in this space where I needed that. And when he died, I was really angry at him, because how could you do this? You come back in and we're trying to build something, and now you just disappear. And so that's when my whole perspective on death and life and all of that just completely shifted, because I was so determined to continue this relationship with him. And so this may not be everyone's story, but I absolutely found additional healing after he died. And
it makes me think of what's her name? I just had her and then she went out of my head again. The singer. And she wrote the story about her dad.
Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson, yeah.
Yes.
It's almost like a Kelly Clarkson story where dad left and now he kind of wants to come back. But for Craig, being a dad was everything for you. Like that was the whole role. Like that was everything for you, was to be a father.
Absolutely. Yeah. My kids kept me alive. It's. And I go back and psychoanalyze my childhood too, and there's a lot of that in the book too, where I'm trying to understand my parents. My parents were wonderful. I love them, and they were always there for me. And but I knew they were in love, but I never really saw the physical love between them. But they supported me, and that's what I ended up being with my kids. I was there for them all the time.
Yeah. We're going to go to another commercial break. Craig, did you ever see your parents kiss? Ever? Like peck, kiss, nothing?
I think so.
Yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to think about it. We're going to go to a break. We're coming back. It's Frankie Sense and More.
Frankie Sense and More will be right back after we pay the bills.
It's words you never heard.
The first official 4th of July party was held at the White House in 1801. But did you know that countries other than the U.S. celebrate American Independence Day or July 4th? Denmark, Italy, Portugal, and England all have 4th of July parties. In fact, the British celebrate their independence with bungers and fizzgigs, otherwise known as firecrackers, just like in America. Squib is slang for an electric match used in pyrotechnics. Our dog celebrates July 4th every year the same way, by cowering under the bed. Many European celebrations take place, of course, at American military bases. I'd like to send a special thanks to all our armed forces stationed around the world for everything you do to provide freedom and independence to America.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
It's the Fitness Minute with fitness expert Annette Hammond.
Do you realize that sugar-sweetened beverages are the #1 source of calories in the United States? Weight Watchers says so and encourages you to think before you drink. A 12-ounce can contains the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar. Most of us drink 1.5 cans a day, which is a roaring 500 cans a year. Drinking 1 can of regular soda a day can cause you to gain as many as 10 pounds in a year. Even if you drink diet sodas every day, you need to go easy. Every once in a while, it's okay, but drinking sodas daily is not a good choice. Drinking pure water is the best, and green tea is another great idea. It's important to stay hydrated and healthy, so scale back on sodas and choose water instead. I'm Annette Hammond. If you're a fan of Fitness Minute, like us on Facebook at Fitness Minute with Annette Hammond.
You know, there's nothing like trial by fire. And when you go through a bad breakup or experience a bad relationship or the ending of relationships, you realize, and as you think back, that there were some flags, there were some red flags, there were some things that went on that you ignored for whatever reason, and we'll call those our intuition. And both of you experienced that in both of your stories, and not just in your story, but in your lives. And yet chose to ignore it. Let's start with you, Craig, for a moment. Why do you think you chose to ignore all the signs that were there? And the signs were there.
Oh, were they? Did you think that?
Oh, yeah. Signs, everywhere there's signs. How come that's not in your book?
It should. That's in the next one.
Yeah, okay.
Good question, because I've always been a very intuitive person, but I've also always believed in other people probably too much. I don't want to believe I said that, but it's, I don't want to, I've been gullible, I've been naive, and this is in hindsight I'm saying that.
Sure,
At that time, I didn't, sure, I saw some things, and it's not even with the marriage. It's with work. There's a lot of work issues. There's a lot of different issues from all different angles where I would see this sign and I would just think, no, I don't believe that. I give the benefit of the doubt to the person, and then maybe it's that I just don't believe in myself enough.
Right.
And that was, to go back psychologically to my childhood, and even in baseball. Like in baseball, I was one of the best around, yet some of the coaches just made jokes out of me and threatened me, verbally, that emotional abuse back then. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because I was a big guy. I was 6 feet tall when I was in grade 5.
Wow.
So I don't know what, but.
So what about today? Can you hear us? What about today? Are you using your intuition today?
Yes, I am, because I've never believed in myself more than I believe in right now.
Good answer.
To have this book, to be able to do this was a 4.5-year project, 170,000 words. It's a brilliant book. I'm going to say that because it is. There's very few books that I've ever seen that come close to the creativity of this one. And it's an adventure, and I'm so proud of it.
You should be.
I know I'm proud of my public speaking. I make a difference. I make a difference with my volunteering. I can get up there and entertain people, and with guitar and with singing. Mm-hmm. Like that's rocking in my life, and I built that.
Right. But we're talking about intuition right now. So yes. I'm going to ask Kim about her intuition, and that's okay. That's why I'm here. Kim, you had signs, you were getting nudges, and you chose to ignore them.
Yeah. The whole element of intuition, I mean, that's the name of my chapter, and yet it was nowhere in my realm of awareness at the time, that this whole story was going on in my life. So, I ultimately was in a space where my intuition comes into the story is that I knew from day one that me and this friend weren't meant to be anything more than friends.
Right.
And yet, for about 4 years, I kept thinking that I needed to allow it to be something more. That don't be so picky, Kim. He really likes you, and you have a lot of great chemistry. Come on, can't we make this work? Mm-hmm. And so I kept, but literally day one, the first day I met this person, I just instantly knew, okay, yeah, no, we're not meant to be romantic, but we could be fantastic friends. Right. And so the fact that I continued for 4 years to try and change that, that's what led to this breakdown. I say in the book that when I didn't listen, life got louder.
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned. I mean, we're constantly being given signs and nudges left and right, and they seem so subtle, but the more and more we don't listen, they will get louder and louder and louder. And so I practice now going, oh, wait, I think that was something. Let me pay attention to that.
Yeah. Or else you end up in a hospital for 6 months like me.
Oh, knock on wood. Oh.
Because the universe will get its message across to you however it needs to. And that's for sure. So today, practicing intuition, practicing going with that first voice, hearing that first voice, and usually we hear the first voice and we fall back on the second and we go, no, that was the right one. But we all know that the first one was really the right one. It might not be the one that we wanted to hear. I know, Craig, that you have, through the book, I know that in choosing new relationships, you've kind of not listened to intuition. And Kim, I don't know if with your husband, like you just mentioned that you've gone through a divorce. So, did you not listen again, or was this something that was... Here's the thing, as coaches and people who want to help people, and I know myself because I went through it, we were, I call it the neon sign over our head. Come here because we'll help you. We like to help you. And so you attract a certain person who needs help, right? And they're disguised in so many ways. Like some, might be somebody who overtly goes, help me. Or they could seem very strong, but they really need your help, you to be the mom or the dad for them or whatever the case might be. Are you still wearing that sign? Have you recognized that it's there, and can you get rid of it? What do you guys think? Jump in.
Wearing the sign of that I can help anybody. Is that what?
Well, as a coach, like you're open for business, right? The sign is there, but it happens in life too. It happens in your personal life too, because sometimes we forget to take it off, or because we're so used to being a giver that you just keep on giving. But you don't need that or want that necessarily in your personal life.
I just recently started dating again, and yes, that happened within these few dates with this person. And I had to finally say, okay, Kim, nope, we know when to cut it off now. We know how to read the signs, and I am not a coach for this person. I'm not his therapist.
It can go that way so easily, can it?
So
it does, yes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Well, one of the hardest things we have to sometimes learn is to say no in a nice way.
Yeah.
And that's even to ourselves. Just okay. This can't go on like this. I get this feeling already. You've learned something. With what you've gone through. Take that lesson. And think of yourself a little bit more. It's okay to be selfish.
It is okay to be selfish in a nice way. Absolutely. I think it's really important to be selfish. We come into this world alone, we leave it alone, and everything in between is about us. It really is, right? And whether we're here for somebody else or they're here for us temporarily or long term, it's still about us. And we have our journey and our life and our learning to go through. And people go, well, that's so selfish, but it's not. It's self-love. It's not selfish.
I think that's what led to my breakdown, is because I kept placing my focus on other people. But when you make other people, be your rock or be your foundation, what happens when those other people choose to leave?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's where I had to learn, like, no, I've got to fill me up first, and then I can bring someone else on this journey with me. Yeah. So, that's what mine was about.
You got 2 legs and 2 feet, and you know where to go, right?
Yeah.
Frankie, the beginning of my book, like I break it up into 5 parts, right?
Yeah.
The audition, the rehearsal, the first set, second set, third set. But at the very beginning, I have this quote here from Steve Bow, and it's, God's gift to us is more talent and ability than we'll ever hope to see in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime. Yeah. And that's taking care of ourselves. You know, we have to always make ourselves number one, especially if we want to be there for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what it's all about. You know, and we are given more gifts than we recognize and realize, and we have so much that we can be working on ourselves, but we get easily distracted.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
Easily distracted.
Easily distracted, as Kim was just a second.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking, you know, there is so much that we can constantly be working on ourselves, you know, to improve and enhance. And at the same time, for myself, I have to go, wait a second, Kim, just focus on this for now, or just focus on this for now, and allow that to be enough. Because otherwise, I can start to feel that I'm not enough if I haven't mastered everything all at the same time.
Yes.
So.
I'm just going to give out, wait 1 second, because we got 3 minutes left, and I want to make sure I give out your websites and stuff. So you've been listening to Kim Oneill, and if you want to email Kim, it's Kim Oneill, and that's Oneill @outlook.com, and the website for the book is positivemindedpeople.com. And Craig, alternatively, is www.craigdubecki, DUBECKI.com. And do you want people to email you, Craig, or not?
Sure.
Okay, give out your email.
Sure. It's Craig. Well, yeah, I've got two, but they can do Craig Dubecki. Craig at craigdubecki.com.
Okay, that's great. And I just want to make sure that I got that out before the end of the show. And I want to make sure that I thank the both of you for coming on the show, because you're terrific, both of you.
Thank you. You're awesome.
I'm just so excited for you know, your book to finally come out, Kim, and for everybody to read that story, because you know I feel very strongly about putting positive energy into the world. There's so much negativity out there right now, and people think everything is negative. It's not. It's just that you don't hear the other side. You don't hear the positive stuff. It is balance, but so it's up to each one of us to continue to put positive-minded things out into the atmosphere, universe, so that you know, we keep that balance and keep the fight for good over the fight for bad. Yeah.
Thank you, Frankie. I agree.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
And
so,
it's been a pleasure.
Any last words from either of you? We got like about a minute and a bit. Anybody want to say anything?
Well, I'm looking.
Go ahead,
Kim. You go.
Okay, I would just like to remind people, anything that they're going through right now, I mean, just to know that even though you may not understand what the bigger purpose or lesson is while you're in the moment, that something greater will come out of it. And you know, if that can bring anybody hope in the midst of any chaos they're going through, then that's all I want to leave people with, is just to know that you know, everything is temporary and things do get better.
So true. I'm so sorry. We are out of time. You've been listening to Frankie Sense and More, and if you want to come back next week, you know you're always going to find amazing people. And if you want to contact these two, we've given them your addresses and everything within the show notes. So please reach out to them and get their books, because they are fantastic. Really, really good. Thank you again, the two of you, Craig Dubecki, Kim Oneill, for coming on the show. It's been my pleasure to speak with you today. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you. You take care.
She not you, she the one.